What went wrong with Mortal Kombat 1? What actually happened? Well, today I'm gonna talk about it, because this topic has been requested by several nice people in the comments. I wanted to thank everyone for being so polite about stuff. I really do have an awesome audience. In fact, in my opinion, I have the best audience. You guys are always so nice. Which is ironic since we're playing Mortal Kombat, but alright. Where did Mortal Kombat 1 go wrong? There's a lot of stuff to mention, honestly, and I might even miss some things. But also keep in mind, this is just my opinion. It may be different from your opinion. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers in that regard. I'm simply honoring the comment section. I won't pretend to have all the answers or to be an authority on the matter, but I have done a decent amount of research. So today, let's find out what went wrong after a quick word from today's sponsor. Dive into the realm of dark fantasy RPG Bloodline Heroes of Lithis, where legends come to life and the sponsor of today's video. You're not just playing a game, you're creating a legacy. Imagine combining the might and mystique of elves, demons, demigods, and orcs with the cunning of dwarves, lycans, dragonborn vampires, and more. And the best part? It's absolutely free to play. Right now, you can download Bloodline Heroes of Lithis for zero cost. Just click the link in my video description or scan the QR code on screen if you're viewing on a PC. Experience a fantasy world in eye-popping 3D where you can find not just companions but soulmates. Remember, in Bloodline, your companions can switch genders freely, and the depth of your connection directly influences the might of your progeny. Their unique gacha gameplay, the hybrid system, awaits. Every fortnight, new characters enter the fray. Marry bloodlines to create over 800 new fantasy hybrids, each inheriting distinct talents, traits, and appearances from their lineage. The Guild War beckons, offering new maps for conquest. Don't miss their Easter event, the Beast Feast, a culinary adventure where fantasy meets flavor. Gather exclusive ingredients from the world of Lithis, craft signature dishes, and rise to become a culinary legend, all while earning points for rare items and the exclusive clan hero Yin the Hidden. With new bloodlines and legendary hybrids introduced regularly, your journey through Bloodline Heroes of Lithis promises endless possibilities and adventures. You can create the most unique hybrid champions called Bloodcraft Legends. Download the game now for free on both Android and iOS. Use the link in my description or scan the QR code on your PC to get a special starter pack worth $20, including a summoning crystal, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds. Plus, the first 30 players to leave their in-game account ID and username in the first pinned comment below will receive the legendary female succubus champion, the Luxuriant, a mage of unparalleled power. And for a limited time, enjoy up to 15% off at the official payment center when you use my promo link. Your journey into legend awaits. Alright, and back to the video. First up, let's talk about content, or rather, the severe lack of content in Mortal Kombat 1. By the way, these issues are in no particular order. I'm just gonna try to address all of them at random points. A little while ago on this channel, I did a poll and I asked you guys, hey, honestly, if you stopped playing Mortal Kombat 1, what was the main reason? And according to most of you, you got bored. And since I mostly play online, I was scratching my head a bit at this for a second because the gameplay in Mortal Kombat 11 was way more bland when it first came out. After about 2 weeks, that game already had me snoozing because the moveset was so limited, the characters were so basic at first. But that's when it hit me, the single player content. Mortal Kombat 1 is severely lacking in single player content. And for many other fighting game communities, that might not be a big deal, but the issue is Mortal Kombat fans are different. We have been conditioned to love the single player content. For example, in Mortal Kombat 11, we had the Towers of Time and the rotating towers that kept refreshing, and apparently people really did love that, which once again was a shock to me because I almost never played those modes, but for many players, and I mean many players, that's the reason they hopped on Mortal Kombat 11 so often. They wanted to grind those towers and get those sweet unlocks. And then if they got bored of that, they would hop into the crypt, which once again was amazing in Mortal Kombat 11. The best of the crypt has ever been, but my point is, there were so many single player options in Mortal Kombat 11, whereas in Mortal Kombat 1, you've got Invasion. And Invasion mode, let's be honest, it's okay, enough time has passed, it's not very fun. In fact, many players downright hate it. Me personally, I put on a podcast and I just grind through it. Or in other words, most players are in Invasion mode just to grind through it and get the unlocks. They're not actually enjoying their time, and that's a really big issue. And it's very unfortunate because as someone who's worked on games myself, I can see the legs. I can understand the the idea of how Invasion would be fun as a concept. You have the player exploring, unlocking chests, fighting a gauntlet, fighting bosses, going to new realms, and then eventually they fight the big bad boss. It sounds so fun on paper, but it just doesn't work. And then to make matters worse, the next season always gets delayed, which causes players to get bored and then just straight up leave and go back to Mortal Kombat 11, where the towers are constantly refreshing, where they still have Towers of Time, and there's just more single player modes in general. And one more time, I must reiterate, we have been conditioned to like this. Injustice 2 was way worse, man. I swear, those developers did not even want you to play the online content. They wanted you to do strictly single player content all the time, because there was so many things to do and unlock in single player modes, but pretty much no rewards for playing online. And even all the way back in Mortal Kombat 9, you had the Challenge Tower, with 300 challenges in total to occupy your time. And once again, you had the Crypt, which was super fun to explore, just one more awesome single player mode. Even back in the Midway games, there were so many offline single player modes. And that's one of the big mistakes that NetherRealm made right out of the gate with Mortal Kombat 1. They had Invasion mode, which they thought people would love, but they were wrong. People don't love it at all, and outside of that, there's just not very much single player content. Or in summary, I think it's very likely that a huge chunk of players finished story mode, then they finished Invasion mode, or got bored, did some stuff at the shrine, and then were like, I'm done. I've played my character, I've beaten the modes, I don't really want to grind ranked that much, honestly, so I think I'm done, and they moved on to the next big game. But next up, let's talk about gameplay. Even though I think Mortal Kombat 1 is really strong in this regard, not every player feels that way, and for varying reasons. Believe it or not, I think one of the main reasons a big chunk of players left Mortal Kombat 1 early on is because its gameplay was so different. Again, it's just my opinion, but to this day, I see so many people in the comments complaining about this and all over social media too, so I definitely do think this theory has legs. When Mortal Kombat 1 first came out, I think a large amount of players hated the cameo system. Some players hated it for being unbalanced, but others simply hated that it was mandatory. Mortal Kombat 1 has no 1v1 mode, which was a massive issue for many players, because keep in mind, Mortal Kombat has always been 1v1. Yes, Mortal Kombat 9 did have a tag team mode, but it was never mandatory. It was just a fun optional mode. The main versus mode was still 1v1, and that's how many players prefer it. Once again, to this day, I still see people complaining in the comment section about the cameo system, and that's the main reason they left Mortal Kombat 1 and went to previous games. Not to mention the roster, which also kinda goes in line with the cameo characters. Many of the fan favorites are not fully playable. They're just cameo characters like Sonya and Jax, and I can guarantee you that turned off some players. They were definitely upset about that. Now for me personally, I like the roster in Mortal Kombat 1 because I missed a lot of the 3D era characters, but at the same time, not including a lot of the favorite characters on the main roster definitely upset some players and likely also caused them to drop the game really soon. But next up we have the balance issues, which I think we can all agree exists with the cameo fighters. Some are way stronger than others. And furthermore, the cameo characters had a big impact on the main characters as well. It's very clear that two types of designs were happening with the roster of Mortal Kombat 1. Some designers made the characters very solid on their own, whereas other designers had the opposite idea, where the characters were okay, but they require a cameo character to be fully realized and play the way they're supposed to. These two ideas are at complete odds with each other. Some characters are almost perfect on their own, whereas other characters need a cameo to play as intended. And to me, that's just sloppy design, though oddly enough, sometimes the characters that rely on cameos are still top 10 or top 5, so it's not black and white, but I'm just saying. In summary, Mortal Kombat 1 should have had a 1v1 mode at least as an option, because cameo characters are a brand new thing, and for every game in the past it's been 1v1, so NetherRealm should have expected that many players would not have liked this drastic change. But next up, let's talk about online and the microtransactions. I'm gonna shove these two things together because it's my video and I do what I want. Had the Fourth Snake made this video, it would be an hour long, rest assured, but I just don't like making videos that way. So first up, the online. It was nowhere near finished. The game was said to have crossplay at first, but then mysteriously it vanished off the game details on the official WB website. Or in other words, they're trying to be a bit sneaky with it, which is never good to do. Be upfront with your audience, even if it does cost you some money. Trust me, it's always better to have their loyalty than their money, okay? Trust me, you don't want to upset the fans. So Mortal Kombat 1 launched without crossplay crossplay, which has become the standard for most fighting games, already not a good look, but then on top of that, it did not have public lobbies. In fact, to this day, it still does not have public lobbies, but you get the idea. The online is lacking, and to make matters worse, some characters can literally break the game and start the round before you, and then when Quan Chi got here, that update broke the online completely, and there was tons of desync issues, yada yada yada. You get the idea. A lot of basic stuff that games should launch with, Mortal Kombat 1 just did not have. But next up, we have the microtransactions, which I don't support. I did not see any YouTubers online supporting the microtransactions. I recommend you find a way to get these costumes for free, which is possible, or just download mods instead. It's way more fun anyway. And I mean cosmetic mods, by the way, so costumes and maybe the music or the menu look, that kind of stuff. I do not support mods that give you an edge when playing online. Don't do anything like that. That's dirty. I don't support that. But I digress. The game was charging way too much for regular costumes. I think on the low end it's $5, and then on the high end it's $10 for a DLC costume, which is over twice as expensive as some other games, right? It's ridiculous to charge $10 for a costume. There are ways to get it for free, but that does not justify it being $10. That's just absurd. And if that wasn't bad enough, there was the seasonal fatalities, which you could also spend money on, and it was super expensive. So expensive, in fact, that the developers course corrected and said, oh, that's not for one fatality, that's for all three. But it's still ridiculous. The price was absurd. And once again, I'm not the only person who thinks this way. I have not seen a single big Mortal Kombat YouTuber not bring up how ridiculous the microtransactions are. And once again, I held a poll on my channel, and according to most of you, the crazy microtransactions is why many people left in the first month. And if that does turn out to be true, then good job, guys. Nice boycott. That's actually impressive if so, because that's one of the best ways to stop these practices, right? To just not support them or even boycott the product. And honestly, it's unfortunate that so many video games are doing this right now. If you think the price of costumes in Mortal Kombat is high, which they are, but you haven't seen nothing, man. Some of these games like Fortnite and the big first-person shooters or third-person shooters, they have way more microtransactions and they're way more expensive too. It's gotten ridiculous. Unfortunately, a lot of these big video game publishers have learned they can get a lot of money out of their audience with these microtransactions, which if you ask me, I think that should put them in micro prison, just like a really tiny prison for their sins. However, unfortunately, these really popular games that I'm talking about with these crazy microtransactions, they still have a ton of players. Like, they're still really popular. And as a result, I don't know for sure if the microtransactions in Mortal Kombat 1 led to a mass exodus of players. My gut is telling me no, just because that doesn't happen for the other games, but I could be wrong because the fighting game community is different than the first-person shooter community. But there you have it, everyone. All the big issues that I think Mortal Kombat 1 did wrong. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because as you all know, I love making these videos interactive and I love reading the comments, so grab that keyboard and make your voices heard. At the end of the day, I still love Mortal Kombat 1's gameplay. Just last night, I was playing it for hours with my friends, so in that regard, I like Mortal Kombat 1 for what it is, but at the same time, I can acknowledge the issues the game has and where the game fell short and why it disappointed so many players in different ways. Overall, I'm an optimistic guy and I want fighting games to succeed. I love that Tekken 8 is really fun right now. The update was crazy, hope they get that fixed, but I like where the game's at. Street Fighter 6 is my favorite Street Fighter game to play in a long time, and even Mortal Kombat 1, I really love the gameplay. So as a fighting game lover, oh, Guilty Gear Strive 2, also crazy fun, but as a fighting game player, I'm really happy that these games are fun to play at the very least. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, helps the channel out a ton. Then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.